Spring has finally arrived, and so you know what that means for reptile keepers. That means it is breeding season. Now, there are all sorts of different species out there, and they all breed at different times. For instance, our fall and winter breeders, like our ball pythons and a lot of the boas, they've already been paired up. Some are still together. Some are going to be laying eggs and giving babies very, very soon. And then a lot of our colubrids are finally starting to warm up. And so today I figure, hey, why not show off most of our breeding projects as of the spring of 2023 season into summer, which is basically from between the next 2 weeks until probably September, when our full season of a bunch of different species will hopefully be going. Starting off with, of course, the ones that you've seen behind me for the last few months of our videos, the Blackheaded Pie. This pair has been together for about 2 solid straight months at this point. After speaking to quite a few people who have bred these in the past, I've been given a few tips. For starters, they do really well with not only in general cool down period, but with night drops as well. I've been told that they just did night drops and it worked. I've been told that they actually put them in to a complete cooling period down into the low 60s. And that's worked in the past. And so kind of what I decided to do was a bit of the hybrid of the two, where my building, I didn't put any of the animals into a true brumation this year, including any of the colubrids. However, my building does have a pretty decent ambient temperature drop in the wintertime. Hey, buddy. As well as they do get nightly drops of about 10 degrees. And so now that it's starting to warm up, it's springtime. Thank you for that urate in the back. Don't you get all twitchy on me. You did it. They are hopefully going to be doing something. They do a whole lot of cuddling, mostly at night into the mornings. And then usually around the time that their lights kick on, they will separate. The female usually goes over to the cool side and then comes back during the day. That's the girl, that's the boy going around like that. I've also been told that they seem to do a little bit better when they're not kept in racks, because why would I keep what is close to an 8-foot girl in a rack? So she's in this big vision cage. They seem to be better with a little bit more of sparse conditions. So I removed their hides, I removed a big rock, I removed most of their climbing branches. So right now it's basically just them for the moment. So fingers crossed I'll be producing some aspidites this year. Last year we acquired a decent amount of animals, including a pair of Ocean County, New Jersey, northern pine snakes. This female actually laid an infertile clutch last year. It was last year before I got her. And so this year, they passed through quarantine for quite a while, showed off the whole video of her boyfriend being not so happy with me, and they are just now coming out of brumation. They're kept on the cooler side of the building. They have taken a couple meals, so essentially after this video, either this evening or tomorrow morning, they will be fed again, and then they'll be paired up, because the male, there he is right there, has finally started to act like he wants to. He's finally starting to kind of move around and look for the ladies. So this pair will be paired up, and hopefully we do really well, as well as Apache right there, who is our other northern pine snake. He is our younger male, and he will be paired up with Shoshone. I've introduced all of these that we are talking about right now, but with the pine snakes, I haven't really seen any real interactions with them. But like I said, it's finally starting to warm up consistently, so they're finally starting to wake up. Hopefully we'll get something fun. This is Duchess. Forgive the water. Evidently this is what she decided to do. It happens, everybody. Again, that's part of the deal. So Duchess is our large Mexican black king snake female. She is pretty solid in size. So this is her. She is in a rack. Just throwing that out there, but she's in a 70-quart rack, so it's pretty big for this girl. So we have this little nest box for her in there, and then a little hide in the back. Now this girl has been paired up with our boy O'Malley. She is pretty big, especially when compared to O'Malley. So I had to really kind of watch over her like a hawk. But they locked up pretty quickly, only after one day of just kind of meeting for the first time, she was all over him. Normally, if you hear a lot of the time, it's the boys, but this girl was all over the place, just on top of him, ready to go. They locked up plenty of times. She's gone into shed, so now we're just kind of counting down the days. So fingers crossed that we'll be producing some Mexican black king snakes this year. This is our female Japanese rat snake setup. She's currently buried down in the bottom of her hide box. She was in deep shed, and I pulled her shed out yesterday, so we're gonna see. So our Japanese rat snake actually self-cycled on her own 2 years ago and actually delayed 3 infertile huge eggs and got egg bound with another 2 stuck inside her. She had to be taken to Aurora Animal Hospital and had to be helped out under sedation to get the eggs out again. I was gonna give her a few more years because honestly I didn't have a male rat snake at the time, but I ended up acquiring a male Kunashir Island rat, and I noticed that she was starting to behave the same way that she did when she started to cycle on her own before. So I went, uh-oh, and immediately threw the boy in there because it actually does consistently happen to where if you actually breed them and get good quality sperm of the male in there, they have a tendency to have better clutches and don't egg bind as much. So we'll see whether or not we'll be producing Japanese rat snakes this year. But she is deep down there. You can't really see her too well, but she's a little right there. That's kind of her underbelly right there. But I'm not going to bother her. That does it for the colubrids. Moving on to the boas. So any longtime viewers of mine has seen this girl before. This is Andromeda. So Andromeda is our possible super ghost het call albino paradox, and obviously you can see why she is a paradox. She's been paired off with a fairly high pink coral albino. So this girl comes from lineage of a very, very paradoxed male. It was called Two-Face from Twisted Genetics. So any boa aficionados out there might know who I'm talking about. We kind of actually ended up getting this girl out from under his nose. Unintentionally, mind you, not ripping him off by any means. Unintentionally, we kind of got her before. Evidently, he was supposed to get pick of the litter. We didn't know that, so we actually ended up picking up her and then her brother, Maine, who is a visual moonglow, who hit the double het. So, this girl, she is shed. So she just shed as of this morning. She's ovulated. She's looking really good. She's really starting to do the kind of temperature sinking that you see early on in boa breeding, that you see a lot in ball pythons. But eventually, as they get later in term, they really end up sticking around in one spot. And that's kind of where she's been at since she went into shed. So now we're kind of waiting and playing the waiting game for her. But hopefully we can get some really nice, they'll all be het anery because our boy is not het anery. But we will potentially be proving her out whether or not she is in fact a super. So they might all be hypo. And we will get albino visuals, hets, and they will all be het anery. So we'll just have to see. But this is one that's going to be very exciting for us. Moving right along to our other boas. So first things first, so I'm going to get this out of the way. We did pair up our Doomerals boas, but she nailed him. Lily, our female, nailed James, our boy, pretty hard. So we kind of separated them out, and we were pairing them consistently, but she was really just kind of ignoring him. So we separated them out. We moved her to a larger enclosure, and we'll be pairing them off again probably this fall because our other male Doomerals is still a little small for her because she does seem to get a little aggressive for breeding. So give him another couple of years to get a little bit of size. So this is our girl Delta. Delta is a Harlequin Motley Imperator, and she is het for basically everything, including possible het albino. And so this girl, as you can clearly see, who is pretty far along, was paired to Andromeda's brother, Maine, the possible super moonglow. So, possible super hypo, visual albino, visually anery type 1. So, fingers crossed we'll be getting some hypo Harlequin Motley that will also potentially pop albino and het anery. I'm not sure if I said that or not, but yeah. So Harlequin, hypo, Motley, albino call, het aneries, because he is the double visual. With boas, they're live birth, just like people. The big thing is this. So she's been kind of back here for a good chunk of the day. She'll cool off first thing in the morning, and then she will be back over here for the rest of the day. The big thing with these boas is maintaining really nice optimal temperature for them. They're pretty good about regulating it, but you need to be a little bit more watchful than ball pythons. And then they go through the same kind of thing where they shed. This girl has shed. And then as she builds along, kind of a week to 10, 15-ish days before they give birth, they actually they produce what's called a waxy stool. So it looks a little bit waxier, a little bit shinier in complexion than a lot of the stool or the fecal matter of these guys. And that's kind of like the plug for them. And so essentially we're counting down, and we're about a week out, if we're counting correctly, from when she last shed for her waxy stool. So theoretically, by the time that this video comes out, we are about 3-ish or less weeks away from producing some really nice imperators this year. As we all know, at least right now, the reptile market or hobby is on its downward part of the roller coaster or cycle that it is. Every 2-3 years, more like every 3-4 years, there is a cycle, a real big turnover of people who get invested, specifically people for breeding, mostly ball pythons, but really all species other than the real oddballs, where people get into it, they put in a bunch of investment and money and time, and they realize it's just too long an investment, it's not worth their effort, or whatever reason or excuse that they have to get out of the market. And so there's kind of a downward turn of that. 2020 was a really big high, so now we're sitting at the really low, which is why right now, if you are on Morph Market or you're listening to other people, you're always talking about, you know, the 10,000 or so or something ball pythons that are on the market. So I'm going to kind of speed run through most of the females that I've paired up this year. I could have paired up close to another 10 females if I really wanted to, but some of them, it's just not really necessarily the smartest decision to make, to have a bunch of single gene, you know, wild types or yellow bellies that are a bunch of possets when they aren't really moving, and they're for proving out fun little projects. They could honestly wait another couple years, as well as we just don't need that many. And I like to give some of my other girls time off, like our Pastel Highway. She bounced back immediately. She could have been paired again, but I like to give her time off, as well as some of our other bell makers and things like that. So, like I said, speed run through some of these guys. So this is Phoenix. This is our proven, very large fire female, paired to Kenai, another fire. So we produce super fires from them. They've done it a couple of years now consistently. We always produce really nice, high-quality super fires. It's that leucistic, that black-eyed leucistic. So obviously had to go with those because we're not actually producing any blue-eyed leucistics as far as pairings go for this season. Delaware, our proven het genetic stripe. She is the one who produced our female banana genetic stripe, who was paired off to a banana genetic stripe. And we produced one female, which, yes, that can happen. That's how we have female bananas. It's just very, very rare. So we decided to hold on to her, and then she'll be bred out to other ones that'll be outcrossed, and then that offspring will be outcrossed, and then we may or may not pick up another genetic stripe along the way, and then that'll be paired back to the original dad, because I try not to inbreed as much as can be done. This is Georgia, who is currently cool seeking at the front of her tub. That's her whole tub, by the way. She is a banana het pied. She is proven. We kept one of her offspring from a couple years ago, a male banana pied who will be being paired off to a bunch of other fun projects like our Orange Dream het pied, and then some other really cool stuff down the road. But she was paired off to just a regular pied male, as well as, I'm not going to grab her because she's in a big Christmas tree tub and it's really heavy, our very large BHB produced pinstripe het pied female who gave us pin pieds a couple years ago as well. So no bells this year, but hopefully we'll have a couple clutches of some pieds. This is Louisiana, or NOLA, for all of you Louisiana folk out there. This is our big female black pastel. Paired her to Glacier, our very fertile GHI Mojave. He's sired many clutches here, and we were hoping to get some black pastel GHI Mojaves because I really like the GHI Mojave, and the black pastel darkens it up, makes it look really nice. Normally I do like black pastel banana combos, but I want to do something with GHI Mojave this year with her. So nice, she got almost a full 2 years off because she went really late. the season that she last produced, but she's doing really good, and obviously she's getting this big. Is New Hampshire. She is our belle, and I did say that we're not producing any bells this year, which is true. She was acquired just as that. Blue-eyed leucistic. We don't know the morphs that went into her, so I paired her to DC, who was our single gene, very nice and busy GHI boy. So we'll be producing, based on what she is, maybe GHI Lessers, GHI Mojaves, but for all we know, there could be a bunch of other ones that could be possibly in there, from butters to bamboos to mochas to who knows what. So whenever we get one of these kind of super morphs in, I always try to breed them off to either a normal or a wild type or a single gene. Then I know what it is. There's no other hats going on, to find out exactly what it is for future breeding purposes. And that's exactly what we did with New Hampshire here. Topeka, our proven super pastel het clown. So she has produced clowns from us in the past. She got the year off. We produced quite a few het clowns and a few visual clowns this last year from some blades. And this time, this girl is producing some. It was paired off with KC, our visual clown. They've produced pastel clowns in the past. So this is our one clown project for this season. This grumpy girl, who is clearly in shed and destroyed the front part of her enclosure, is Idaho. Idaho is a leopard, yellow belly, pos red stripe. I've gotten a lot of conflicting opinions on whether or not she is red stripe. She looked more like it as a baby, but I guess red stripes as adults, unless it's paired off with certain genes, you can't really tell too well either. So I'm open to opinions, but we'll see. She was paired to an ivory because my hopes are making leopard ivories with her, because I think they look really cool, as well as eventually down the road, potentially cinnamon leopard ivories. But with that being said, she has not really taken too much. This is her first year to go. A lot of times these females, they don't lock up as consistently or as long as some of the older females, at least that I have seen with my experience. So don't hold me to that. It's not a 100% always true blanket statement, but we'll see with her. Is Shenandoah. Shenandoah is our Orange Dream Lemon Blast, because I didn't realize this, but evidently I really, really like Pinstripe, apparently. She looks really nice. This is the first time she was paired to what will be the second generation of our Calico line. So this is Tuxedo Mask. This is the sire. So as you can see, looks really fun and really busy. We don't know absolutely everything that's in him other than pastel, calico, yellow belly, possible lesser. It's a little hard to tell because it looks like there might be some lesser in there, but calico, yellow bellies do kind of throw weird funky patterns, so I'm going to put him back. There you go, bud. Oh, that's nice. Get that in a second. Always got to love the urates everywhere, but this will be our first time going. This will be really interesting. This is now, we're incorporating Orange Dream into a lot of stuff, like I said in the past. Wow, this color and lighting is not doing super hot at the moment. Sorry about that. And this is going to be really fun and interesting with our second generation of Calicos, because now both our original pair of Calicos, North and Carolina, have both produced amazing high-quality white offspring in the past. And so this is our oldest holdback from them. That was actually Carolina's baby boy. So we will be pairing this one off with that. Further down the road, it will eventually be going back to North or Carolina in about 2 generations or so. So we're going to continue with our very long 20-year high-quality, high-white pixelated calico project. That's basically it for ball pythons. There's a couple other ones over there, like there's some banana projects, proving out another ivory to hopefully make more ivories and things like that. But that does it basically for this. This could have been a lot longer of a video, but like I said, I really dialed back on a lot of the ball python pairings. And also, I'm going to sneak in one final quick little tidbit for a little bit of excitement that may or may not be happening this year. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I had a whole lot of fun just kind of showing off snakes. I haven't really been doing it a whole lot. It's been just kind of a crazy mess, just kind of dealing with everything here at the ranch and everything else. So I got to enjoy showing off some animals. If anyone are interested in any of the babies, whether or not they go or not, as we discussed in the video, patrons of certain levels get early access to the availability list, as well as I do post them in different areas, and any of the shows that I'll be vending, they will be going along. Again, obviously, as I mentioned before, kind of first year, not only for a lot of species for me, but a lot of first year moms. Don't know how the luck is going to go, but fingers crossed. Again, hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and we'll check you next time.